But I want to start with a clip of a video of a friend of mine.
I gave a lot of thought to what my purpose was, and I think you can boil it down to, notice these all begin with C. I think I can boil my purpose down to a sense of living consciously with courage, compassion and clarity. And I've given a lot of thought to that because a year ago I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which I'm very thankfully through and into. I don't know whether they call it remission these days, but I don't have breast cancer anymore. In terms of how those things played out for me and how I believe it enabled me to come through the last year.
So the question that I'm holding today is, what's your purpose? And Suzanne, you said it beautifully as a kind of lovely segue into today. And having something like cancer, I think, does force you to really look into that question. I'm sure you've asked it of yourself in some way, shape or form. Why am I here? What's it all about? My friend Vicky, who is here today, was diagnosed with cancer last year. And I have to say, as her friend, I and we around her were absolutely terrified by what that meant. Because we did imagine that she was just going to spiral and that life was going to become incredibly difficult. And that we'd have to gear ourselves up to support her through that, if I'm honest. We couldn't have been more wrong, because what actually happened was she really connected with something very deep inside her and just became more grounded than I've ever known her be. Really focused, really clear about what life was all about and what she was here for. Really clear in her vision for the future with her 3-year-old son and her husband, thanks to the cancer. So today I'd really like to help to give you a glimpse of, there are lots of purposeful women here. I've seen them up here on the stage and I've met some of you today. But how to get clear about what your purpose is for yourself. The Tao Te Ching is a great resource for this. For any of you who've read it, 6th verse talks all about the mysterious feminine, the root of creation. And really, what was written nearly 3,000 years ago was all about connecting with the uniqueness of you and being able to bring yourself fully to everything that you do. And I really believe that. I believe that every single one of us here has got a unique contribution to make to this world. And it's our obligation to make it, because it all connects up. If you don't, if I don't, there's a piece missing in the jigsaw that is our world. And I think we're born knowing what that is. We're highly intelligent as children. We know what we're here for. We know what it's all about. And then something happens as layer upon layer of responsibility and expectation starts to bury the thing that we know for ourselves. And I think it's part of our life journey to uncover all of that and not to live the life that's expected of us, but to live the life that's true to ourselves. For me, for me, it's kind of when we do that, when we're living truly, then that's when the magic really happens. For me and for others, for everyone around you. But it's not only a question of just doing it because it's a nice thing to do. There's actually, being on purpose has a significant impact on your mental health. So some research that was conducted a couple of years ago in Chicago did a study on a group of elderly people, mainly octogenarians. And they looked at the connection between having a sense of purpose and the decline, particularly in mental health and Alzheimer's. And the top 10% of that study group who had a clearer sense of purpose were almost 2.5 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's or some other mental illness. So this is really serious stuff. We need to remember and reconnect with what we're really here for. So how do we do that? My life has been, I guess, a journey of purposeful aimlessness or aimless purposefulness. I don't know which way you describe it. I've done a whole host of different things, ranging from being a barmaid to being a lawyer. I lived in Russia for 10 years. I made a Bond movie. I was involved in GoldenEye, not as a Bond girl, I have to say, on the other side of the camera. I've been to the European Court of Human Rights with the first ever case brought against the Russian Federation. I retrained as a coach. It just seemed to be the profession of choice when you're kind of searching for something. I now currently work as a consultant. And all the time, through each move I've made, I'm aware that I've kind of been looking for something. It's like, so what is it? What is it I'm looking for? I'm trying to make meaning. I'm trying to connect with something. And I'm having a great time along the way. But actually, when I finally did find what my purpose was, which was a couple of years ago, I realised that what I've been looking for outside was actually on the inside. I was looking for that connection with me and looking for the connection with the person that I was meant to be. And I did discover that a couple of years ago. I was working with a group of leaders in the World Bank, talking to them about what their purpose was. And my colleague kind of sidled up to me and said, "So what's yours then?" I thought, I don't know. I really don't know. But just asking the question was incredibly helpful, because then as soon as I started to ask the question, it started to become clear. And I came up with a first draft, and then I tested it, and I tried to figure out how that stacked up against the way I've been living my life and my values and my passion, all the things, Katie, you were talking about earlier. And it did begin to line up for me. So for me, my purpose is really about connecting and creating wholeness and creating oneness, and connecting with purpose would be a part of that for me. Once I knew that, something really shifted for me. I became clearer. I kind of knew what I needed to do next. Became less fearful. Kind of found some of that courage that we've heard about today, because I kind of knew that whatever I had to do wouldn't be easy, but it was quite simple. I just kind of knew it. And so therefore I had to do it. I had a conviction that came from within here. And I have to say, the last couple of years of my life have been hard work. I've taken some risks. I've stepped up to some challenges. And I think I've started to make the difference that I'm intended to make. And I intend to continue in that vein. But what was really helpful to me was just really asking the question and then listening to myself and paying attention to some clues that had been there all along. There's a lovely quote from Rumi, pay attention, let yourself be drawn by the silent pull of the things that you truly love. You know what you love. I'm sure here today that you've been hearing things that are really pulling on something within you, stirring something within you, and you're imagining, I'm going to go away, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to talk to those people, I might invest in one of those projects Suzanne's just been talking about. I might actually do what Katie did and leave my corporate job and move into something that I feel really passionate about. And my plea would be to you, don't ignore it. Listen to that. Tune into it regularly. Meditate. I know we don't have time, but lying in bed in the morning for 10 minutes, meditate and really tune into yourself. How are you? How are you doing? How's your life stacking up against what you thought you might make of your life? Are your dreams with you? Are you living them? Or are they somewhere on the side? Journal. Take some notes. Write down what it is that's really going on for you. Have a conversation with yourself. Do your visioning. Do your vision boards. Start to remember yourself as a child. What was it then that you really did love, that you were really passionate about? And start to bring some of that back. But just keep the question with you. Ask the question and answer it. Because I do think that there are many opportunities to act on purpose in life. And I think all of us have the capacity to tune into what our own unique purpose is. My hope would be that more of us do that more often, and we can join them together. Thank you. I'm going to give the last word to Vicky. She's up here.
I'd say that if I had one wish or kind of want for everybody, it would be to spend some time kind of proactively really working on a sense of their purpose without waiting for something catastrophic like a diagnosis of breast cancer to put you into the place where you think, oh, you know, maybe I should start doing it, because it doesn't need something so monumentally life-changing to happen to you before you can change your life.
Thank you very much.